In this video, we'll be learning about intercepts. There are two types of intercepts that we'll be interested in, x-intercepts and y-intercepts. By the end of this video, you'll be able to find the x and y-intercepts for the graph of an equation. The x-intercepts are the points where the graph of an equation crosses the x-axis. On the other hand, y-intercepts are the points where the graph of your equation crosses the y-axis. Let's consider one of the graphs we looked at in our previous video. The x-intercept would be this point here, and the y-intercept would be this point here. For the x-intercept, the coordinates for that point are 2, 0. For our y-intercept, the coordinates for that point are 0, 4. It is important to note that when you're working with the x-intercept, the y-coordinate of the point is always 0, because any point that's on the x-axis will have y-coordinate 0. On the other hand, when you're working with the y-intercept, we always have that the x-coordinate is equal to 0, because any point that's on the y-axis would have x-coordinate equal to 0. With these facts in mind, if we want to find the x-intercepts for a graph, we just have to find a point on the graph where the y-coordinate is 0. To do so, all we have to do is plug in y equal to 0 in the equation and solve for x. Similarly, if I want to find the y-intercepts, all I have to do is plug in x equal to 0 in the equation and solve for y. Let's put these ideas into practice with some examples. In this example, we want to find the intercepts of 3x minus 2y equals 6. First, let's find the x-intercepts. Remember, to find the x-intercepts, what we need to do is set y equal to 0 and solve for x. So, in our equation, if we set y equal to 0, we have 3x minus 2 times 0 equals 6. Simplifying the left-hand side there, we get 3x equals 6. Then if we divide both sides by 3, we get x equals 2. This tells us that when the y-coordinate is 0, the corresponding x-coordinate has to be 2 to satisfy our equation. So this means that our x-intercept here is the point 2, 0. To find the y-intercepts, we want to set the x equal to 0 and then solve for y. So in our equation, plugging in x equal to 0, we get 3 times 0 minus 2 times y equals 6. Simplifying the left-hand side, we're left with negative 2y equals 6. Then dividing both sides by negative 2, we get y equals negative 3. And this means that when the x-coordinate is 0, the corresponding y-coordinate has to be negative 3. So our y-intercept is the point 0, negative 3. Let's try finding the intercepts for another equation. Here we're given the equation y equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. The procedure is the same as before. To find your x-intercepts, you set y equal to 0 and solve for x. So in our equation here, setting y equal to 0, we're left with 0 equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. Now this is a quadratic equation, and one way to solve such an equation is by factoring. If we want to factor x squared minus 4x plus 3, we need to think of two numbers that multiply to positive 3 and add up to negative 4. Those two numbers are negative 3 and negative 1. So our quadratic there factors as x minus 3 times x minus 1. This allows us to split our equation into two parts. First, we have x minus 3 equal to 0, and we also have x minus 1 equal to 0. Solving each portion, we have x equals positive 3 and x equals positive 1. So here, when y is equal to 0, there are two possible x values, which tells us that there are two possible x-intercepts. One is if x is equal to 3, and the other is if x is equal to 1. So we would say here that our x-intercepts are 3, 0 and 1, 0. To find the y-intercepts, we set x equal to 0 and solve for y. So in our equation, we have y equals 0 squared minus 4 times 0, and then plus 3. Simplifying the right-hand side, we're just left with y equals 3. So we know that when x is equal to 0, the corresponding y value has to be 3. So this gives us the y-intercept 0, 3. So this is the procedure that we go through to find the x-intercepts and y-intercepts for an equation.